Okay, I have to confess, this pattern right here was a struggle fest. If you want to see what happened, oh my gosh, stay tuned. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Myra Lorraine. Thank you all for stopping in to watch my videos. You know I really appreciate it. Now, as you saw in my intro there, Myra had a serious struggle fest. Oh my gosh, and something so simple should not be so hard. But as I showed you, this pattern right here gave me my skill set a run for my money. Oh my gosh. And it's such a simple pattern, it did not have to be such a struggle fest. But I want to share and be open and honest with you guys. So hang in there with me so I can explain a little bit about this. Now, you all know I love wearing leggings. I stay in them most of the time when I'm not in shorts, when I'm at home. Depending on the weather. When it's really warm in the summer, I'm in shorts. But during the winter, I'm in leggings and jeans. And when I saw this pattern, I actually fell in love with it. I just saw, and it had pockets. Can you believe that? I mean, I'll pop this pattern back up here, but the pattern cover, but it actually had pockets. And you guys know I love pockets. So I'm all on board for this. The one thing is I should have paid a little more attention about this, and I have a lot of notes here. I want to tell you, really get down to the nitty-gritty with this pattern. And I love independent patterns. I've gotten so attached to them now because the stylings, some of the sizings, kind of all of that didn't go away with this pattern. It just made it a struggle. So here we go. Okay, I told you about this pattern. I got it on Etsy. Now they do have, the name of the company that makes this pattern is Craftbook99. They do have a website, and on the website the pattern was $2.49. I believe it was a download on the website as well. But I purchased mine on Craftsy, and it was a little on Etsy. It was a little bit more expensive there. Well, not expensive, it was just a little more than it was on their website. It was $2.59 on the website for me, but it was actually showing as $2.85. I had a credit because I have a shop. I actually have a shop on Etsy, so I got a shop discount, and which made the pattern $2.59. So it wasn't bad for me. That's what we pay, about $1.99 when we used to get commercial patterns on sale. So it wasn't bad for me. So I went ahead, I downloaded it. But something told me to trace this pattern. I hardly ever trace patterns. But something told me to trace this pattern, and I'll tell you why. Because I'll pop up the sizing chart here for you all. The sizing chart, based on the measurements that they show on the sizing chart, I was looking at making a medium where it's highlighted, that medium. I said, oh yeah, maybe. But I said, nah, looking at that low hip, my hip is 39.5 exactly. So that moves me over into the large. So I decided to go with the large. As you see, this pattern runs from an X small to a 2XL. Now, based on what my experience is, I have to tell you guys, oh my goodness, this pattern runs really big because I selected the large, and as you see, it says 39.5 hip. I'm exactly 39.5 with the low hip, and this pattern was humongous for me, way too big. I needed to go all the way down to a size small because I ended up taking 3 inches off each side, the side seam allowance, to get this baby to fit for me. And this is a muslin. It was actually made out of some fabric I had on my stash for quite some time. You guys probably seen it maybe a year or two ago when I posted a haul from Fabric Mart, because that's where I got it from Fabric Mart. It was probably the last time I went shopping at Fabric Mart, but yeah, that's where I got it from. And I purchased it for something else, and it's been sitting on my because when I received it, I had purchased it for my husband to make him some type of top. And then when we got it, it was so heavy. It's actually heavy as a ponte knit, or a little bit heavier. It's pretty beefy. He said, no, that's too heavy for me. So it sat on in my stash for a while until I figured out what to do with it. So I decided to use it for this pattern to make a muslin. And so I told you about how big this pattern was. I mean, it was huge. I had to keep, how do you say, I didn't take 3 inches altogether. I would take off an inch, I try it on, it still wasn't fitting, take off another inch, still wasn't fitting, and I went back 3 times. I actually had to refit this to make it fit. So the small is definitely better for me. I made a large. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I did make a large, and it's way too big. So, and looking at the size chart, a small says the low hip is what I was following for the large. Low hip is 36.5. Bet you that will fit me. I just know it will. Okay, so let's get back into it. Now, the other thing, instructions. Oh my gosh, instructions were, I'm sorry company, I usually don't do, they were not good at all. Not good. And if you're a beginner, you might as well turn away. This pattern is definitely not for you. And the reason is, it's a simple pattern. Normally I would say yes. If I don't know, I could probably, you know, tell you guys that if you've made leggings before as a beginner, you could probably do this pattern with better instructions. But because of the instructions, I'm going to say it's a no-go for beginners. And for some intermediate sewers as well, because you really have to figure out how to do this on your own. And I'll tell you why. Because their patterns, their instructions, and I'll show you just so on page, it actually shows like this. I don't know if you could see that. It's just a couple of, like a sentence, and then they show you pictures with arrows. And the same thing here. And the verbiage is very different. Maybe it was not made in the United States, I'm not sure. But it sounds, the way it's worded, it sounds like it is someone that doesn't live in the United States. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's just the way we all have different ways of writing. So I don't want to sit here and put my foot in my mouth if I haven't already done so. But if you understand what I'm saying, it's written differently. So I was able to, with a lot of struggle, figure it out on how to put these together and what they mean by this. And as an end result, I do like the pants, but there are a couple of things I don't like. So I'm going to get into that. So I told you about the instructions. Here are some of the things that weren't in the instructions. They had absolutely nowhere in the instructions the seam allowance. I went back and even looked on the website to see if it was posted there, and nothing there. I had to email the owner of the shop to ask them what the seam allowance was, and they said it was 3/8 inch. And she sent me a dowel size picture, image pattern, if you will, and it had the seam allowances etched on the side, like here. I don't know if you can see that. Like here, there are a couple little tiny lines around the pattern there. Those are supposed to be the seam allowances, but it's not marked to tell you what they are. But it is a 3/8 inch. She emailed me back very quickly. She messaged me back very quickly. Also, there are no fabric measurements here anywhere. It doesn't tell you how much fabric you need to make this anywhere in the pattern. I knew I had a lot of this fabric, which I have quite a bit left over. I had a lot of this fabric, so I knew I'd be able to make a pair of leggings. Also, there's elastic in these pants, and there was no elastic measurement. They have a little piece here, and I'll show you here where you can see this. Let me turn it this way. here, this piece and this little piece, they actually add on because it extends it to the pocket, where the pocket goes here. And this extends the waistband now, and I would assume you fold it down in the half. You fold that down in half, and that's how I knew where to put my 2-inch elastic, because in the actual pattern too, and see that, can you come in? See that line there? That's 2 inches. So that's what I decided to do, was use 2-inch elastic. So those are the reasons why I say this is not for a beginner, because you really have to figure out a lot on your own. After I started to read through the very brief instructions, it's only 3 pages here, with hardly any writing. After I saw that, I thought, do you really want to do this? But it's a muslin, so I went ahead. Now, it's going to be hard for me to show you this. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to tell you about too. If you see this piece here, this is the front pattern. And that's the way the pattern piece is cut out on a single fold of fabric, this whole entire piece. Well, I didn't like that because, number one, it's going to take up a lot more time to lay my fabric out flat and put that on there. Since there's no seam here, I just folded this thing in half because everything here matched on all sides. So I just folded, well, I didn't fold it. When I traced this pattern, I just traced this line and all this, and I put this line on the fold. This comes in and you cut in anyway, so it didn't matter. With me putting that top piece on the fold like I did, it came out just like they wanted it to. It still has no seam in the front. Now this pattern is, the pattern of this fabric is going to be very hard for you guys to see any details because, as I mentioned, and I probably will make another pair in a solid color so you can see the details a little more better. And I'm going to turn this inside out so you can see some too. But what was I saying? There is no seam in the front. It's hard for you to tell, but there is no seam in the front at all. You can see there's no separation here, and I can show you the inside. There is no seam. So it turned out just like they wanted, you know, no seam, and you didn't really need all of that paper that I printed out, as it is a print at home pattern. It was a PDF. I didn't really need to tape all that together to, it was a lot of paper that was wasted, let me put it that way. So anyways, the details of this, and I will bring that, actually I can show you here. The details on this, what I really liked was the pockets. I love that. The other detail that I like is I don't typically like my leggings to fit tight to my ankles like that. I like them more like this. As I've mentioned to you guys before, I like the wrinkles on the bottom of my pants, jeans, or even my leggings. Well, this pattern, I always try to give myself on pants because my legs are so long, at least 3 inches, and that's what I did. I added 3 inches to this pattern, the hem of this pattern. And I'm glad I did that. And next time I will add 5 inches because I didn't get the wrinkles. Myra got, hers were not as high as hers. Mine are a little bit lower on my ankles, but I didn't get the wrinkles like I wanted. So I'll be adding another 2 inches to the pattern when I make this again. These are the pants, and as you can see, let's see if you can see that. Here is the pocket right here, and that extension I was telling you about, this is that extension right here. There's a line here, and then there's a little piece you sew here. And then all of this, the inside pocket and this outside pocket, they attach to that as one. Once I looked at the pictures and I, figured out what it was that I wanted, what they wanted me to do, it took a lot. These pants probably should have taken me about 3 hours tops after cutting out, and it took me a lot longer because I had to figure out the pattern. But the other feature of this, and I don't know if you saw it, let me show you here, is they have a gusset. Where is it? There it is. See that gusset right there? That makes them kind of look like joppers, but I wasn't sure about that. and I really didn't notice it. All I noticed was pockets on leggings. But now that I know, I don't like that. So when I make this again, I will not be putting that gusset in there. I tried to pull, and I do have it here. I'll show you. It is there, and I think that's something you can see. But once I pulled this seam and the back seam together and sewed, I didn't sew it, but I pulled them together when I had it on. I have more than enough room without that gusset in there. So I won't be adding that gusset in my next pair. Now I'm going to turn this inside out so you can see the details a little more, because it does have a back yoke, which wasn't shown on the cover photo. But it does have a little piece. And I'll show you that right here. It does have a little yoke that kind of turns down, curves down on the end. And I didn't do any kind of cover stitch with this because, as I mentioned, it's a muslin, and it is a wearable muslin now that I got it to fit. It does have the pockets on the inside. I noticed how I didn't catch that pocket there, but it's okay because majority is in there. And the way you put the elastic in this is you actually serge the elastic to this top edge. You just, when it's up like this, you put the elastic on and you serge it across the top, and then you fold it down and then stitch it down to the, to your actual pants. And that's what makes your waistband with your elastic in it. So they turned out really nice, and here's the gusset, as you can see. That's in there. Get my head out of there. The gusset is right there. As I mentioned, this is the first pair of pants that I've ever had that had a gusset in it, and I won't be doing that again. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. But overall, I do like this pattern. And when I make it again, I'm going to make it with my edits. No gusset, and I'm not sure about that front. I'm going to leave that front. I'm not a fan of the no seam in the front, only because of the curve. And I'll show you some of the pictures here of me in this, in these pants, leggings. I am not a fan of that rounded, because it looks like there's a lot of fabric right in that area. I'm glad that you can't see any type of what do they call it, camel toe. But I don't like the drop of that, and you notice it a lot here too, that drop in the front. I'm not a big fan of that. It feels weird on the body is what I'm trying to say. But as you see in the pictures of me in it, they look good. They fit really good now that I've taken all that extra fabric out. And these will definitely be worn a lot in my wardrobe now, because I did get it to fit. But I do want to make a really nice pair with the pockets like this, so I can bring it back and show you guys. So I think that's it for this pattern. Again, beginners, this one's not for you, because there are no instructions. I mean, there are instructions, but not hand holding. You really have to figure out how to put these together on your own, looking at their pictures and the brief information that they have. But the style that they came up with was impeccable. I really like it, minus the gusset, of course, but that's up to everyone's style. Other people may love it. So that's it. If you have any questions about this, I know it's taken me quite a bit, but I wanted to explain to you about this pattern, because I know there are a lot of you out there who do like leggings and you love pockets, and you might want to try and tackle this one. And if you do, please let me know. Or if you've tried this pattern, let me know what your thoughts were on it. So that's it, you guys. I'll see you again next Saturday. Before you leave, don't forget to give me the thumbs up. Show me that you love me. Subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that bell so you won't miss my next video coming up Saturday. Thanks again for stopping in. Bye now.